OldRoot is an ARG that has laid dormant for over 4 years now. Started back in 2014, it hasn't seen any progress since mid-2016. Since it's recently been brought back up by several big YouTubers such as Some Ordinary Gamers and Retro Gaming Now, I wanted to make a quick video just to catch people up to speed with the current state of OldRoot. This video is just meant to be a quick list of the current puzzles we're stuck on, a quick rundown of the things you might not know had already been solved, and then some of the lore of the OldRoot mystery. There are a few puzzles that are currently unresolved. The main one that we're currently stuck on is this one. When brightened, it shows a cross over the two circles and a text that reads, "An author lies dead, an author unknown, remaining unread, remaining untold," with the word unfinished blurred at the top and the code GEETT7V at the bottom. GEETT7V is the right length for an Imgur URL, which other clues in the past have also been, but it doesn't resolve to anything. After early attempts at solving it were fruitless, OldRoot himself messaged some of us with the hint v to the power of 3, and later updated his Tumblr to have the hint visionaire to the power of 3. We've mainly interpreted that as meaning that we would have to run the code through a visionaire cipher, possibly up to 3 times. The visionaire cipher is a more complex substitution code that works by having a keyword and shifting the alphabet based on the keyword. OldRoot has used visionaire ciphers twice before. Once in this text, where the key was Lenore from the poem by the same name by Edgar Allan Poe, which resulted in "You must learn the past before the future." And a second time with this text, and this encoded word as the key, resulting in "Purge yourself of your sins, purge yourself of your desires, purge yourself of your flesh." Both of those times, the hint to the puzzle was specifically relayed to us either by the puzzle itself or by other puzzles from around the same time. But with the new one, we aren't sure at all what the key is supposed to be. We've tried a million different things and we haven't made any progress, so it's entirely possible we're wrong about our assumptions. Recently, some people have also been theorizing that perhaps we would have to run it through a 3-dimensional visionaire cipher, which would require probably 2 keys, and is a lot more complex than a normal visionaire cipher. This is the main puzzle we've been stuck on. Another possibility is that the 2 circles are meant to be overlaid on something, but it could also just be symbolic, with the cross over the eyes representing OldRoot's lack of facial features. Another image that hasn't been solved yet is this picture that shows a shadow sitting in a corner, with the text, "Shadows of the past," under it. When brightened, more words show up. "The raven," "Silent raven," "Leave me alone," "The raven is watching," etc. It also shows a bunch of pairs of letters and numbers. Each number gets 3 letters, some uppercase, some lower. We don't know what those numbers or letters refer to. It could be an Imgur link, it could be a key to something else, or it could be something else entirely. When this was found, there was also some hidden text next to it in the source code of the Tumblr page that read, "There is something wrong with him," and "Before the madness." Now, before we continue to the lore, I wanted to quickly run down some of the puzzles that have already been solved, that still come up in discussion, either because the solution wasn't in one of the YouTube videos or because the solution was kind of buried by time. I want to begin at the end with the code OldRoot left for us at the end of his conclusion post. This series of numbers can be converted to letters, giving you the text. All the dots are finally starting to connect. Who knew dolphins were hiding so much? This is a hint leading us towards the video Dolphinspiracy by Alex Bale, who is the creator of OldRoot. Now there's a whole other rabbit hole here, but this is unrelated to OldRoot. Dolphinspiracy was part of a separate ARG Alex Bale made, which eventually culminated in Pizza Time Pizza. If you want to go down that whole rabbit hole, I recommend Inside a Mind's video on Pizza Time Pizza, or just watching the series yourself. I do recommend checking it out, because in my opinion it's a stronger ARG than OldRoot. Next, these 2 images with atomic numbers. The solution here is to overlay the red one over the other one, and then converting the atomic numbers to letters. A little bit of brute forcing later, and you get the next puzzle. Next, this "What am I" image was thrown around a lot recently, because we thought it was unsolved, until the Retro Gaming Now video unearthed that we had in fact already solved this. All the words here were hints that pointed towards the painting Storm on the Sea of Galilee by Rembrandt. The cipher is solved by using that title as the key for the accompanying alphabet and going through it letter by letter, which results in the link to the next image. Finally, I want to bring up this image. This one is a bit unique because it came directly from a DM from OldRoot and it didn't lead to another image. If you translate the numbers along the sides from ASCII, it reads, "False prophets will deceive you." The dots seem arbitrary, except for the red one, which points towards the misspelling of the word prophets. But Alex Bale, the creator, recently revealed that he made this image simply because he made a typo the first time he used the word profits, and then made this one to make it look like that typo was intentional. So I don't think there's any more for us to find in this image. While it started out as seemingly just some Minecraft and some codes, gradually a story became apparent. A lot of OldRoot seems to center around a man named Wester T. Allen. It's not clear if he's supposed to be the figure with no face, but there are some hints pointing in that direction. Let's delve into some of the lore, because knowing some of the story can help us answer the puzzles. One of the key documents about Wester T. Allen comes from a tweet from the OldRoot account, which contained a picture of an application for a copy of a death record for a man named Wester Allen. His cause of death is listed as paralysis agitans, also known as Parkinson's, but is overlaid with the word falsification in red text. The second key text comes from the second video on OldRoot's channel, just called 5. Wester seems surprised that he can hear the mysterious person talking to him, who responds that he can do a lot more than that, and that he'll show him. A few images flash, including a family portrait with the faces crossed out. This image from an earlier clue features a second conversation. It's not immediately clear who or what it's about, and part of the conversation seems to be missing, but it does seem to be about Wester as well. Seemingly referring to Wester, it says he won't be able to see, hear, or communicate. He'll be practically brain dead. A second person responds with "he's wrong," which seems to be confirmed by the previous video. Or it could also be referring to OldRoot's missing face. Without eyes, ears, or a mouth, he would not be able to see, hear, or communicate. If OldRoot and Wester T. Allen are the same person, then that could explain the overlap in this text and the last. There's also this torn letter. In my investigations, I have come across many things that I have yet to explain. The rest of the document is harder to read, but it seems to be an older piece of writing by an unknown author. And then there's of course the text from the first image I showed you. An author lies dead, an author unknown, remaining unread, remaining untold. Who is this referring to? Is Wester said author? Is this author also the author of the torn letter? Throughout the mystery, there's a few key phrases that come up often that could be useful to know as well. Become void shows up a few times, along with the phrase become faceless, seemingly referring to OldRoot's lack of face. Trapped in a prison of wood comes up a few times, and seems to refer to a coffin, which Wester T. Allen and or OldRoot seems to be trapped in. The phrase before the madness comes up a couple times, but whose madness is this referring to? Shadows of the past, and the phrase, if you wish to know the future, you must know the past, which are probably connected, tell us to look back. When I asked OldRoot how far back to look in the past, he replied with 10/7/49, which is Edgar Allan Poe's date of death. Edgar Allan Poe's poem The Raven also comes up a lot, especially with references to the raven and the word nevermore. This leaves us with a lot of questions and leaves things very unclear. There's a lot of puzzle pieces that seem to not quite connect just yet, and we seem to have gotten stuck right at the point where more was being revealed. My hope is that by solving the puzzles we're stuck on, we can finally find out what's going on.